So today we're going to be talking of two different types of time management. So it's going to be time management practicality and time management God's way. Okay. There are specific things to do to become more productive with one's time. So as we do discuss today, I just want to encourage you that as I'm sharing the aspects of time management, remember real education comes from application. And there is a good writer, Anesu Seneca. He says it is not that we have a short time to live, but we waste a lot of it. Okay? Time needs to be well invested. And so when you manage your time well, you will get a good return of investment. And investing time well is managing time well. What am I saying? There is also a difference between managing a time and managing the time. And we'll break it down as we're moving forward. Now, I'm going to talk about obstacles of time management. One of the obstacles of time management is procrastination, thinking in real time. It is a huge drain of mental energy, routine, and framework. Sorry. Because I need to make sure I'm doing everything within time. Okay. Thinking in real-time procrastination is a huge drain of mental energy. So if you can create routine and framework, it is important as it provides predictable returns rather than trying to figure that out in real time, as that also wastes time. I'll give a simple example. Say you're going to work the following day in the morning. Kana dzichida kuainwa ogara wadziaina odziseta aside. Kana uchida zvekumecha uchiti hembe ndoda kuzoipfeka nebhutsu iyi, gara wazviisa paside. Kana uchishanda kuoffice, have your break and your lunchtime food prepared. Have that ready for tomorrow. Because when you wake up the following day, if you are starting at 7 a.m. and you wake up at 5 a.m., imagine wanting to try and figure out you're already wasting time. Time that you could be utilizing to at least meditate before you leave, because you're already investing in yourself. And when you invest in yourself, you invest in your mental health. And when your mental health is in the right place, the return of investment towards yourself through that day, you're bound to become productive. So if you start your day, already the day before, we're talking about planning. It means, Kuti, you already have so much more time saved. You have free time. So it's very important to plan your day before the following day. If you procrastinate and you tell yourself, I'll figure it out when I wake up, ozongomuka kujamba kuyenda basa kungomhanya kuyenda wapakati peroad wotanga kuzvibvunza ndanamatera. Kana kuti you look at your feet and you are wearing two different shoes. Already you have wasted so much time towards your productivity of the day. What is that day going to look like for the rest of it? You are all over the place, right? But if you manage your time well from the time that you wake up, and if you had planned it ahead of time, you're going to manage your time well. Routine brings freedom. Create a routine for yourself that you know, this one, it works for me. If you're somebody that exercises even just for 10 minutes, create that routine for yourself. If you're giving yourself affirmations in the beginning of the day, create that for yourself. If it's an affirmation where you're telling yourself, today I'm going to be present where my child needs me. I'm going to be respectful when my husband addresses me. Today I'm going to be productive with my job and my household. You have already set a standard for the day. And so you are bound to manage your time well, because you know that where there is a need, you are present and you will manage that time well. Come up with a framework you can use that comes up with a good return for you. Kana chitaura neshona tikuti gara wakagadzirira. Gara wakagadzirira. Tichazotaura about time management God's way. Tinogara takaparidzirwa kuti ngatigarei takagadzirira kuuya kwaMwari. Nekuti pakati panguva yekuva pasi pano, asi ichasvika nguva yekuti Mwari vachauya, right? Amen. Saka ngatigarei takagadzirira. Achieving more is not doing more. Achieving more is becoming more. And when you become more, you achieve more by doing less. Okay? How about it? Achieving more is not doing more. Achieving more is becoming more. And when you become more, you achieve more by doing less. Those affirmations that you give yourself, you are becoming more. You're telling yourself, this is something that I can do. But if you bring back that spirit of procrastination, it means you're not becoming more. You're just going with the wind. We'll figure it out. But while doing so, you are wasting time. Give yourself a time of silence for meditation, visualization, a scene where you have achieved something. It will cause you to want to do something more so that it comes to completion. Or how you will go about your day and avoid distractions. Because distractions will come, right? But when you have it, when you are focused on how your day is going to be, the chances are you will know how to manage those distractions so that they do not affect your time. Ask yourself, is there anything else I can add to become more productive? Get in the zone. And when you get in the zone, stay in the zone. Don't be distracted. Be fully engaged in what you do, as it allows you to manage your time well, and it will exponentially increase your productivity. You need to work in chunks of uninterrupted time. Per day, every day, make sure you're giving yourself uninterrupted time. It doesn't have to be 5 hours. It can be 50 minutes. It can be an hour. If you tell yourself, in this hour, it doesn't have to be work-related only. In this hour, I'm going to focus on cooking this full meal. Ndichakwanisa kubika sadza, ndichakwanisa kubika stew yacho nemaveggie, and I know kuti ndichapedza. By the time 7 o'clock zichikwana, my family iri kudya chikafu. When it's uninterrupted, you are able to do more. When you're giving yourself breaks, let your breaks also be of high quality. And is it? Unless you feel refreshed, you won't be able to put more into your work. We have a tendency to think of work during our breaks, or think of breaks during work, and it interrupts your time. You have to make sure that your breaks, they are of quality, high quality. If it means that you tell yourself, during my break, I am going to meditate, let that be what you are going to do, so that you feel refreshed, because when you are refreshed, your return towards your work is going to be productive. If you're going to take a walk during your break, let it be of high quality. You're taking the break that you need and you're utilizing your time well. Okay? Our hours worked isn't the measure of productivity. Productivity is measured by how much you managed to do within your time of work. Another example. Ovunzonzi, nasi waiting, nasi nda aina hembi. And it may seem like that's something productive, but what the aina for kuwa ya gareba say, but in the aina for 4 hours. But maybe you could have been able to do that within an hour. So productivity doesn't come in the hours that you put in the work you do. Productivity comes in how much you were able to do within those hours. Okay. What do you work on? Work on things that move you measurably towards your goal. Don't just work in gym. Whatever you do, always have a goal. I was thinking about the Bible verse, Jeremiah 29 verse 11. We love to meditate on that word, right? But God is teaching us that you should have plans because He has plans for us. It says, for I know the plans I have for you, right? For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Now, when we put it into practicality, do you have a plan? Do you have a plan for your future? Because when you don't have a plan, it means you're not even managing your time well. You're just going. Going back a little bit. What moves you measurably closer to your goals? That's something I would love for everyone to take as a takeaway. Ask yourself, what moves me measurably closer to my goals? Because but does that move you measurably closer to your goals? Let's give an example of a jar. A jar that has rocks, it has pebbles, it has sand, it has water. And each of them weighs differently. Something is going to weigh more and something is going to weigh less. But if you focus on the water, when you put the rocks, what's going to happen? When you try and put the pebbles, what's going to happen? When you try to put the sand, what's going to happen? It's going to create a disaster. So you always have to focus on what's more important first. The rocks are heavier. There's a larger load to that. Start with that, put it in the jar. Followed by the pebbles. Followed by the sand. And then you fill it up with the water. You have managed your time well. Everything makes sense because you're doing it in an order that creates productivity. Make a plan beforehand. Getting through that plan is what you do through your pre-scheduled time. Like I was saying, pre-scheduled time for you to go to work the following day. And everything on your plan may provide steps that make you move forward, or a little forward, or sometimes backward, or sometimes it will require for you to change your plan. But consistently have a plan so that your time is managed well. Have goals for your week. Sunday, after church, within this week, goal and that week, by the time I know she comes for Saturday, what is the goal that I have? Have a daily to-do goal. They're different. They're not the same. What your goal is for the week is different from the goal you have for a day, right? The same way you may have a 5-year plan. There is no way a 5-year plan may be squeezed into a month. And the way they are handled are different, which means some require more time and some require less time. When you have your daily to-dos, ideally, it should be one thing. So what is the one thing you can do today that will give you a good return? For example, the doing laundry. It doesn't take away the small other little things that you're going to do through the day. Maybe the other things will be changing your curtains, which is something maybe. Later 2 years, I can go to request or something. But I absolutely have to make sure that laundry has been done, and that's your daily to-do goal. It's that one thing that if I do this, I know my return of investment on this day is good, especially on a Saturday. And the day that you are free, you find yourself doing a household chore and you tell yourself, I have a good return of investment of my time. But if you sit down and you start watching international DNA show, what's going to happen? Your time is going to be off. And maybe you put that laundry to the side and you tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. But what has that done? Pusha to tomorrow, and maybe tomorrow you're supposed to go to church, and you say, why end up with church power? Laundry, I'm out of time. Yeah. Because you didn't manage your time well. But when you manage your time well, you have enough free time to do what is required of you for you to be productive. Laziness or avoidance of fear causes you to feel like you never have enough time to do anything else. Time management will allow you to have more free time. Use an 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule that others know is they spend time on other people's things. It may be responding to emails, etc., and you will feel productive, but in reality, that wouldn't be correct. Your time is placed towards someone else's goal because they have a goal to get an answer for something, so that email does not mean you'll be productive. To be productive is something that is towards your goal. You wanted to say something?
No, I was thinking that.
Yeah.
I was finishing the sentence doing actually fulfilling that person's goal.
Yes. So, some say 80% of your results come from 20% of your work. But if you spend at least 80% time on yourself and 20% on others, you are likely to have more done than less. Okay? You always want to put in work on yourself, because once you do that, you will be productive. Always keep track of your time. Always keep track of your time. 18 minutes. That's not only 13 minutes, and I'm like, I still need to talk about time management God's way. If we go to Ecclesiastes 3, we are now talking about time management God's way. The practicality of it. Tapabata. Any questions? Okay. Time management God's way. Ecclesiastes 3, all of it, it talks about time. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. I like 11. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Like I was saying, there is a time, there is the time, there is its time. There are different kinds of time. So knowing what time it is very important. And God has plans for you. What plans do you have for your future? Proverbs 16 verse 9, it says, in their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. And this zvaunofanirwa kuita zvine productivity wakamirira Mwari. Nekuti Mwari vakakupa nguva, asi munguva yavakakupa uri kuitei nayo. That's where the practicality comes. God gives us time and He allows us a time until the time. So in the meantime, how are you using that time? There is a time for relationships. There is a blessing that also comes with letting go of other relationships in order for God to do what He needs to do in our lives at such a time. Let's look at Nyaya, Abraham, and Lot. Actually, Abraham. Actually, Abraham and Lot. They moved around together with their soldiers, but then came a time when their soldiers began to fight against one another. And the time came for Abraham and Lot to separate. And that time created a loss. Imagine you move around with your family. Muine masoja eni muchiziva kuti muri kuita zvinhu mese, then motanga kunzi chiparadzana, not even because of both of you, but because of your soldiers. And then a separation has to happen. They did it in a very humble way, in a way that had humility, because they understood it was the time for that separation. And during that separation, when that separation happened, it ended up causing Abraham to receive a greater blessing from God, because that was now the right time. And it came through that separation. And so during losses, are you realizing that that is the time for that? And are you treating it as God's way for that? Because sometimes tinochema, tinotsumba, tokangana kuti kuda kwa Mwari. Inguva yaMwari. Right now tiri pakuchema kuti takashaikirwa nemumwe mufundisi wenu. Asi nguva yaMwari, inguva yaMwari. And there is something that comes with that. Even a realization for you and for me that time is not guaranteed, Pasipano. And it's not that we have a short time to live. It is that we waste that time, right? There is a time to reap. David became king after years of working in the field. God was preparing him, and then came a time where he was now ready to be king, and he was made king. But panga mumunda imomo aizvinzwisisa here kuti zviri kutoitika panguva ino ndo zviri kutoda Mwari, asi zvichazoitika zviri greater. There is a time to grow and a time to harvest. We have been given a time by God on this earth to do that which He intends for us, as we await the time He will come back. So how are we managing that time? Are we being religious with the time? Or are we creating a solid relationship with God in the meantime? We are never promised time. So within the time that you actually have, you ought to utilize it the right way. Munguva yawakapiwa na Mwari, uri kuitei? Zvauri kuita zvine plan here, zvine musoro here, kana kuti uri kungo waste time? Not kuti ma challenges auye. Challenges will come. But if you have a plan in place, how likely are you able to handle even those challenges? They won't take much of your time because you already know how to be productive with your time. God's time will always be the best time. Not to say we should await His time for everything, but let's continue to invest in the time that we have well. Let's manage our time well, because it's not that we do have a short time to live, but it's because we waste a lot of it. And so I'll give the floor for any questions, or if you have something that you would like to add on as far as time management.